Wow. Hello, 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 everyone. I am AnneHumphrey, and today we've got a very, very special treat. Sitting right next to me is a wonderful human being by the name of Sabriena Felix. She is not only a someone that I know that's in this fantastic group of the Science of Getting Rich Mindset and Mastermind, but she is someone who I have known since high school. No, before then, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we've known each other
Elementary.
elementary. We were old neighbors. That's right, because when we moved over into the neighborhood, Sabriena was already there. And so she is, she's such a wonderful human being. And you're going to see why I say this. But more importantly, she's doing some exciting things here in the community. She is a mother. She is a professional entrepreneur. She is a professional in the workplace as well. And she helps a lot of people out on a daily basis. But before we get into Sabriena sharing more about her, I wanted to give you guys a little something to look forward to during this, what I like to call conversations and transformation. Okay. Isn't that right? That sounds good, right?
Sounds great.
So today Sabriena and I will be discussing chapters 1 and 2 of this fantastic, wonderful man that I love, as I always like to do, The Science of Getting Rich by Mr. Wallace D. Wattles. Wallace D. Wattles. And today we are going to explore, we're going to dive deep. We're going to pull back the layers. We're going to uncover. We're going to discover. And we're going to be able to share some beautiful nuggets during this conversation and transformation, right?
Right. That's right.
And so the two chapters that we're going to discuss today is chapter 1, The Right to Be Rich, and chapter 2, There is a Science of Getting Rich.
Yes.
Again, I just like to show the table of contents. Okay, so these are the table of contents, and this is what we're going to discuss again. Again, this work is by none other than Mr. Wallace D. Wattles. So before Sabriena starts telling us a little bit more about her fantastic life, I like to leave this with you to chew on before we dive deep. What if there was an exact science to getting rich? Wow. Right?
Right.
Yeah. What if? What would you do? Would you do something about it? Would you run and go get that information?
Absolutely.
Or would you say, that's just a book, that's just a thing, that's what they say. Oh, well, I got to see you do it first. What would be your position? Well, while you null on that, while you think about that, while you sit on that, I would like to introduce Sabriena Felix, CEO of Heals from Within, which I thought was just so fantastic, because it doesn't matter how rich you are. If your health is poor, then there's a problem.
There is a problem.
So Sabriena, tell us a little bit more about you and tell us why you decided to come on the show today to, be my special guest.
Okay. Well, I'll just start with this. I decided to come on the show because it is a great book.
Yes.
It reminded me automatically of The Secret.
Yes.
He started The Secret.
Yes.
That's right. I was like, wait a minute, this is like The Secret.
Yes.
And when we go back to The Secret, you look at your heart. You look at the Lord actually started everything, because I'm all about the Lord, of course. it's just, he puts it inside of you. And when you have compassion for others, then you want to give.
That's right.
And that's a part of being rich itself.
Yes.
From your health, your, of course, definitely wealth. We all want the wealth, but also your love, having compassion for others, being happy. That's, to me, that's the science of getting rich.
That is
and being rich.
Absolutely, Sabriena, because you know why? At the end of the day, and let me just touch upon something that you said. She said that after reading this book, because she's reading this on a daily basis. This is like her companion, as Wallace D. Waddles has said. Make this book your companion. And so, but as she was pulling back the layers and reading this fantastic information, she said it reminded her of The Secret. And yes, this is the manuscript, folks. This is the manuscript that The Secret speaks about, okay? This here is the manuscript that The Secret speaks about. And so, without further ado, I want you to share why you chose to come on this platform to talk about what you've discovered.
Okay, because everybody has their own perception. And when you hear multiple perceptions in regards to the science of getting rich, it allows you to expand your mind a little bit more, to think a little bit more, think outside of the box, look at different ways of, okay, I understand, I can formulate, and that's a part of it as well. That's chapter 2. Really. The formula. That is. So, and it was a pleasure. It was definitely a pleasure. Love being around you and everything. And you make me laugh.
Thank you.
And just love your aura is automatically, it draws people to you. So you are a given spirit.
Thank you.
You constantly bless others, and that's what we're supposed to do. The Lord put us here to do bless others. And that's a part of the science of getting rich as well.
That's the whole idea.
It's the whole idea.
That's the whole idea. And so I'd like to say hello to a couple of people that are looking. Hello, Melanie, prophetess. Hello, hallelujah. Hello, Melissa, oh my God. Melissa is so special to me. Okay. Melissa, you know, I always love to tell the story, Melissa. Melissa is like my angel. Okay. She's Lady Song. She has her own talk show as well. And she does a lot of phenomenal things here in Broward County. But let me just share this real quick. Melissa is the person who believed in the Awe brand and in the Awe show before there was an Awe show. Okay. And so Melissa, thank you for showing up. And like I was saying about Melanie, she is a prophetess. She's a phenomenal human being as well. She does a lot of things here in Broward County. She just was speaking the other day in the Inverary area. I know that it was so fantastic. Melanie, hallelujah, hallelujah. And who else we have? We have Ron. Oh my God. Hi, Ron. We've got Ron. He is, oh my goodness, Ron is coming after you. So he will be here next week, Friday. We will be speaking with Ron on chapters 3 and 4. And he, oh my goodness, listen, I've known Ron for many years as well. We had a funny story of how we've met, but I've always been impressed with him because he's always been an executor. Like he doesn't talk about things, he just gets things done.
Awesome.
So Ron, thank you for showing up and showing out. So let's just dive back in. Let's go right into the first chapter, which we're going to talk about is the right to be rich. Now with this is going to be a little bit different because I'm not going to read the book, although we're going to be able to identify certain passages and be able to identify certain sentences that may have permeated, you know, through you that you say, oh my goodness, this has just been so awesome. So one of the things that I like to top it off with, since we're going to go by chapter. Okay, chapter 1, the right to be rich. Let me show that again. I like to just show that, the right to be rich, the right to be rich. Okay, chapter 1. So we're going to dive deep. So what were your thoughts about chapter 1?
chapter 1 to me, it really kept inspiring me because it was giving you, like you said, peeling the onion, peeling the layers off.
Yes.
So I was stating to live successfully, to have a successful life. I just automatically just kept highlighting and writing down little notes. And I was saying, you know what? It's the glory of the Lord.
Yes.
He wants us to live a successful life.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to do it, he's the catalyst. He starts everything.
Yes.
He implements in our mind your work habit.
Yes.
Your thought process.
Yes.
Your ambition.
Yes.
Those are key things as well. And then he puts instill in you the strategy of getting rich.
So I love what you said here, because look at something that Wallace D. Wattles, and this is one thing that I like to say, Sabriena, and maybe Sabriena can agree, she has her own mind, but I feel that Wallace D. Wattles was an obedient servant.
He was.
Right? He was obedient, right? Because you remember he wrote this book in 1910, and then 1911 he transitioned. So he didn't have to do this. He could have been like some of us that sit back and say, oh, I'm going to get it done. 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 And then now you've transitioned and you have now taken that wealth, that blessing to the grave with you. But he had not done that. And one of the passages that I like to quote in chapter 1, and he starts off this comes right out of the gate. He says, whatever may be said in praise or poverty, the fact remains that it is not possible to live a really complete or successful life unless one is rich.
Yes. Now that was powerful. That was a powerful statement. It was a powerful statement.
So what would you say about that, Sabriena? Because he put this as his first sentence. And I like to just show this. Again, I hope you guys who are watching, you have the book with you, all right? But that's the first sentence, okay? So what would you say his reasoning for saying this? Because everything with Mr. Wallace D. Wattles was purposeful. Even the way that he created the contents for the information to flow. He created a certain strategy or certain science that he even did with the table of contents. But why do you think Mr. Wallace D. Wattles, out of the gate, the first thing he says is that sentence there?
Because he's letting you know that it doesn't matter what social status you are in. You could be, you can have money, come from wealth, or nothing at all. You still can gain richness. It's for everyone. It's not just to be hidden. And you know what, Anne, I do like that you automatically, which is a key point, we are to share. He shared the nuggets. He shared his wealth of knowledge. So he was a great servant. And that's how we're supposed to be, obedient. So God will say, well done, my good and faithful servant. That's right.
Yes, absolutely. And I agree with you, because Wallace D. Wattles was very specific in his getting this information out. I don't know. I've had people who are writers like this. I've often heard that when there's something so heavy on their heart that they don't even remember writing what they have written. And I really wish I could have asked Mr. Wallace D. Wattles, was he one of those people that something permeated and penetrated through his pen to paper to cause him to write this philosophy? Something else that he says here that I love, and I think Ron and I, we even we discussed this too. He talked about, and I'm going to allow you to bring up some points as well, but something that Ron and I remember Ron and I speaking about this, he says, a man's highest happiness is found in the bestowal of benefits on those he loves.
That's right. That's right. Because when you love someone, what do? We try to do everything for that individual.
Yes.
We think of them before we think of ourselves. Again, going back to the scripture, it's about just having compassion. How can you say you love someone or love anything if you don't have compassion?
Yes.
If you're not willing to illuminate, bring it out, show them, showing your actions in regards to love. If you just say it verbally, it means nothing. But the action is really what counts as well. So his love for mankind, giving us this gift of the science of getting rich, millions of generations from once we leave, this is still going to be here.
Yes.
So he left a legacy.
Yes.
That's really what this is. This is a legacy to pass on from generation to generation to generations, so that each and every one of us, we can have that knowledge. Okay. Oh, I thought it was this, or I thought it was that. It's all those things and more. Absolutely. But he lays it out for you.
Absolutely. And you know what, Sabriena, I love what you did. Sabriena, just, you're just opening up so many different passageways, because oftentimes, what do we hear? We hear generational curses, right? So we've got to stop this talk about this generational curse, because the more you keep talking about this generational curse, you are allowing it to permeate and penetrate in your soul. So you've got to stop with that language. You've got to be able to, like he even talked about it in further chapters, the appearance of things. You've got to stop with this backward, this victimized talk of these generational curses. Now, Sabriena, something that I want the audience to know, tell them a little bit about your upbringing and your background, because that has a lot to do with the reason why you think the way you think.
Yes. Okay. Well, I am from a background of a single parent, a mother, hardworking. She instilled in us, you don't wait on anything, you don't wait on anyone, get out there and work. So my ambition is very strong, but she also instilled in us love. To have, again, compassion. The church. We grew up
well, just like me.
We're constantly school, work, school and church.
School
and church. So
and that's
right. That's right. So automatically. So I have a giving heart. I look for the positive, and that's what I'm all about, positive. So my background is being positive, trying to share with others, to give them with a positive energy, give them, definitely words of the Lord, just when someone's down, to try to uplift them, to motivate them, give them those scriptures, because he lays out everything. We want to have eternal life. So again, that's my background.
That's your background. And this is the reason why, would you say, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, would you say, when I first brought this to you about the science of getting rich, of reading the book, because I've been I'm like, listen, I feel like the Oprah right now, because how Oprah told everybody about reading The Color Purple. This is how I feel about the science of getting rich. I'm like, listen, you don't even have to purchase the book. Mr. Wallace D. Waddle's estate, or whomever, made it possible that you can just print the PDF out on paper, as I have done for free. Okay. and pick it up and start reading it. So that's why I feel like the Oprah Winfrey of this, because I understand the significance of this. And what would you say about the things that we were taught in school? Because we weren't taught this in school.
No.
I mean, maybe you were taught it.
Well,
but I don't know. We wasn't
not.
Taught this.
No. When it comes to finance, no, we were not taught. It's still not really taught in school. No. When you go to, when you're going to college and you'll learn some information on it, but they really don't share with you how to save, how to really keep your finances in order.
But they also really, they don't teach the mindset.
The mindset.
See,
and that's the key.
And that's the key. See, that's something that Sabriena had when she was growing up. We lived in the same neighborhood, you know, when that neighborhood was very, very nice, very affluent. It was like a lot of middle-class Black folks living there. And here it is, Sabriena would come to my house, we would have fun, we would laugh. But the bottom line is this, is that Sabriena and I come from parents, okay, that didn't use this victim talk.
Oh, absolutely not.
What would you say about that?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Exactly. My mom, she was, you don't wait on it.
Yes.
Don't use excuse. You get out there and work.
Yes.
You get out there and do what you need to do, because you have to provide for your family. There should not be a victimized mentality, because then you're living in the blame, the blame. Yes. Okay, what are you going to do about that blame? You can move on. You don't have to let something stop you. We all have things that hurt us or that caused a really major, it just really, we drew on it, but it's that's your character. Yes. That's number one.
It's building your character.
It's building your character. Yes. How do you take where you were, what you've been through, and go from it? Yeah. You can expand, you can learn from it, you can grow, or you can let it suffocate you. Yes. You can let it keep hindering you and you stop growing.
Yes, yes.
We don't want to do that.
It's no need to. So tell me, Sabriena, based on what you've read in chapter 1, what are some of those nuggets that you would like to share with the audience today, and letting them know some of the things that you took away from it, something that you were able to put that permeated and penetrated with your soul, that, hey, you're walking differently now, you're speaking differently, you're looking at something differently. Absolutely. Share from your perspective.
Okay. So as I was reading, I was jotting down, and the first thing that came to me, I was like, okay, the basics of all mankind is learning and acquiring the science of getting rich. So we want to learn, we want to gather information. No one wants to be at a certain point where you don't grow. Yes. We all want nice things. Yes. We all want to be, affluent. Yes. In the community, absolutely, in the world. You don't have to be a certain way. Everybody has their own place, but there's a time and a season. But still, it's there for you to grow. God didn't want you to put your head in the sand. So that's number one. Absolutely. I put in. Yes. God placed in everyone's spirit a thirst for knowledge. Yes. You have to want to gain something. Yes. Yes. In order for you to grow, you got to get knowledge. Yes, absolutely. And you can receive it from your books that you read. Absolutely. You can receive it from individuals. You're going to definitely learn from individuals. Absolutely. Some of us, we are hands-on. Yes. Majority of us. I know. That's how I learned. You're hands-on. Yeah. Yeah. But you're going to get that information from someone else. Yes. And we feed off of others. Absolutely. We feed off of others. Yes. So when they have a positive spirit, or when they're doing something and you're like, wow, I would like to learn that. Yeah. You take it. Yeah. And you start practicing. Yes. And you practicing. Yes. And you're practicing. And you keep doing it. And that's right. And then you grow with it.
Let me go back to what you were saying about the knowledge, because this is the reason why, and Wallace D. Waddell speaks of this in later chapters. He says, make this book your companion. Yes. This is the key, folks. You've got to make this your companion. Because until you get rich, he says, don't study anything else. Don't learn any other knowledge. Don't listen to any other philosophies, unless the philosophers that he mentioned in the preface, he says, study those, because in other words, they coincide with the science of getting rich. Something that I've been saying, Sabriena, I've been saying that my 2 favorite books is the Bible first and the science of getting rich. Yeah. Now, I don't know about you guys. I don't know whether or not what your favorite books are. I mean, I know of people who see me speaking about this on a daily basis. They're like, Anne, she just gets so excited. She gets so excited. Well, there's a purpose, and there's a reason why I get excited, because I understand, even in the Bible, one of the reasons why my one of my companies is called Now Your Life Transforms, because even in the Bible it says, be ye transformed for the renewing of your mind. You cannot say to me after reading The Science of Getting Rich that you are still in that mindset, in that limited beliefs mindset, if you're talking about expanding. Something else, Sabriena, go ahead and share what else that you found in chapter 1 that you thought was, if you can read his passage and then share what, read his passage first and then tell the people what you got out of that passage.
Absolutely. Okay, so another thing that keyed into me, when he says the object of all life is development in everything that lives. Again, that's a powerful statement as well. We want to grow. We want to keep anything that has life. You're trying to better yourself. So that's the first step right there. Another thing that he picks up on, it says the use of all things which may be necessary to fullest the mental. You want to get, yes, it's free. It's there. So he gave it to us for free as well. But he wants us to use our mental capacity, our spiritual capacity, as well as our physical unfoldment. So he's saying, don't limit yourself to just one thing. You got to be open for all. Be able to keep diving in, expand your mind, expand your heart with your love and your compassion, but also physical, meaning practice. Get your talent that you've learned, that you're going to grow from, that you want to invest in to get your riches. Because that's how you're going to get it. How do you get your riches? By doing something that you love, that you can master, and even keep learning from and giving to others.
Absolutely.
Because
that's the whole key.
That was the key right there.
It's key to always giving. I mean, something he speaks about in later chapters, he talks about the competition versus creation. And he talks about how the person who's in competition throws down the ladder behind him. And I know that we're only supposed to be discussing 1 and 2, but sometimes these chapters overlay into other chapters. So you kind of have to go, because Wallace D. Wattles is a dynamic human being. He knew what he was writing was going to live for worlds and worlds to come. Something that I would like to address, Ron said, he says that that was a passage that hit me so hard. The passage, again, something that Ron loved. Let me read that entire passage that Ron loves. He says, a man's highest happiness is found in the bestowal of benefits on those he loves. Love finds its most natural and spontaneous expression in giving. The man who has nothing to give, listen to that. Now listen to, oh my goodness, listen to how the way he breaks this down. Wallace D. Wattles is something else. Mr. Wallace D. Wattles is something else. He is phenomenal. He says the man who has nothing to give cannot fill his place as a, now listen to this, as a husband, or father, as a citizen, or as a man. Something Ron, and I'm going to repeat what Ron said. Ron said, and he didn't say man first. He first says a husband.
That's right.
And then he used man after that. Yeah, I see you, Ron. I see you. I see you, Ron. I see you, Ron. Yes, Ron figured that out. I was like, oh my God, Ron, you're absolutely right. So I love to give credit where credit is due, because Ron is the reason why I noticed that. I didn't notice that at first, Sabriena. He says, Ron said, and you see how he said husband or father, as a citizen or as a man. Let me go on. It says, it is in the use of material things that a man finds full life for his body, develops his mind, basically what you was saying, and unfolds his soul. It is therefore of supreme importance to him that he should be rich.
That's right. How can he take care of his family?
How can he take care of himself?
Absolutely. You know what? But that right there also is the groundwork of a man. That is a man. That's a groundwork of a man. A man that's going to take care of his family.
Yes.
That loves his family.
Yes.
That's not going to leave his family lacking and allow his wife to do everything. He's going to step up and be that man and do everything he can to take care of his family.
Absolutely.
He's going to give to the community.
Yes.
He's going to be a hard worker. Of course, he's going to love the Lord. That's number one.
That's key.
That's key right there.
Well, when you love the Lord, you do those things.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, you do them without even being told.
It's
you
like
already
breath.
know.
It's like you're breathing oxygen.
Absolutely.
So men out there, my husband is a great man, and he is set, and I love that he follows this as well.
It's important.
He automatically had that background knowledge, or that it was instilled in him that I got to take care of my family. Yes. I got to take care of the ones that I love.
Yeah.
We as women, we are nurturers. So we're going to do it. We can lack for anything, and we're going to make sure they have. Well, that's the speaking of love. Yes. A man that he follows this book, follows the steps of it, that's automatically instilled in him.
He was born to be a provider. He was born to be a provider. Hallelujah, hallelujah. He was born to be a provider.
There you
go. Ron Karanian, thank you again for really recognizing something in that passage that I had not seen. See, this is the reason why I'm doing these conversations and transformation, folks, is because you guys are going to be able to see something. Even though I'm reading it, it's penetrating and permeating through my soul on a daily basis. But you're going to see something that is expected for you to share with me because I'm not going to see it. And so Ron Karanian, thank you so much, because he is the one that saw that it said husband or father, and then lastly says a man. Now, I want to touch upon this too. And the reason why I love this passage is because Sabriena knows my father before he transitioned.
Yes.
And one thing that I have to give to my father, you know, growing up, is that is one of the biggest things my father always stated. He always said, always, he was never a person that you had to wake him up to get. No, my father was up at 5 a.m. He was excited about having work. He was excited about having his businesses. He was excited about using his hands that God had given him, which were his gifts.
That was his gift.
That was his gift.
That was his gift.
He used his hands to make money. And so when I'm reading the Wallace D. Waddles, I even had this other gentleman to say to me who was reading this, he says, Ann, this man sounds like your father, because there's a lot of things that reminds me of my father and the way that he thought. I'm not saying my father had his things too, all right? But what I am saying is nobody can ever say that Mr. Humphrey was a lazy man and that Mr. Humphrey didn't have money. My father always had money. And more importantly, he took pride in his work. He wanted to make sure that he took care of his customers, because he understood that they could have taken their money and used it someplace else, but they chose his business. They chose my mom's and his business together to generate and put their money in that particular business. So something that I just love this. I love that particular passage. I can go on and on, because this particular passage says a lot. And if your mindset if you're not ready, if you're not ready for truly transforming your mind, if you're not ready for truly getting out of a place of being, some people like being stuck.
Yeah, stagnant.
And stagnant. Yes. Some people really, what do you have to say about that, Sabriena?
Unfortunately, that's true. But you want to grow. And I just look at it as I'll say this. And I'm going to say it like this. When you come into that contact, of course, you want to push them a little harder to do a little something. But then if that person still wants to be that way, you just can't surround yourself with that individual. You want to be around like-minded individuals.
Absolutely.
That's the key. Like-minded individuals. One accord.
Yes. Yes.
You're going to help your fellow man. If they're down, bring them up. But you also want to encourage them. So it is up to each individual to take what they learn, to use it, to grow, to go to a height of knowledge, to grow to a height of wanting something for themselves, and to get riches. Why not? Why not?
Why not?
You can't do anything without it.
You can't do anything without. And why? And if you could, why would you want to?
Right.
That means, again, you're not able to live your highest version of yourself.
It says that.
You're not able. So share some other passages. Like I said, I love this passage, this particular paragraph. Ron and I discussed that in detail. So thanks a lot, Ron, again, for sharing that and for actually seeing that hidden gem.
It was. Okay, another thing that stood out for me, it says, we become rich in life when we develop our minds, reading books, learning from others, as we originally stated, communicating, rationalizing our thoughts, keeping positive energy. That was one. Expand our hearts. Again, seeking the Lord first on everything, his counsel. Then take interest in our passion. Whatever we find that's going to give us an insight of, I can use this to benefit my family, myself, the community, and keep growing.
Absolutely.
So those were other things that I had as well.
Read from the passage first and then share what your thoughts are.
All right.
Okay, so what are the parts of the passages that you like? So read the passage first so then they can follow along in their book, and then you share what it is that you like.
Another one, we're just almost going backwards, says to live fully in soul, man must have love. And love is denied expression by poverty.
Oh, wow.
A man's highest happiness is found in the bestowal of benefits of those who love. So it's what Ron was saying, but that really came at me.
Thank you, Ron.
You owe it to yourself. It's a duty to yourself.
Absolutely.
You know, God and humanity can only, you know, for you, he renders having a greater service to give to yourself, to make do of something that's going to expand. So those are little tidbits on that first chapter that stood out for me.
Okay.
You know.
All right. So let me share something else. Again, I just want to share with you guys here, because this is something, I've turned my book into a workbook. And you see all my little, but I'm not going to show all of this to you guys, because I'm coming up with this is something I'm going to do, and I'm going to share more with everyone, because I'm putting the puzzle together. As I've said, every time when I read this, I'm finding more and more pieces. Because again, the universe does not want us to be in this spirit of overwhelm. It will give us everything that we need and we desire, and the knowledge that we need for that particular day. And then it will keep building on, because if you're in the spirit of overwhelm, you're stuck. You do nothing. You're almost like you're out of it. But the universe is not there to do that. The universe is there to say, okay, well, Anne, I'm going to give you the idea of having conversations and transformation.
There you go.
And then here's Sabriena, because now Sabriena can share a different perspective, because she has different things. She has different stories and different discoveries that she has experienced, that these words have permeated and penetrated through her. It may be a different discovery. It doesn't make it wrong. It just shows from a different lens. And so this is the reason why I love this, because every time, just by sitting with Sabriena, I have I'm looking at chapter 1 a lot differently. So Sabriena, let me just share this other passage, and this here is the last passage, and then we can go into chapter 2.
Absolutely.
I like to show this. Okay, I'm going to read that. It says, Sabriena, why don't you read the last passage, because I want you to discuss that.
It says, it is perfectly right that you should desire to be rich. If you are a normal man or woman, you cannot help doing so. Again, it is perfectly right that you should give your best attention to the science of getting rich, for it is the noblest, the most necessary of all studies. If you neglect this study, you are a derelict in your duty to yourself. So you're putting yourself off. You're doing yourself an injustice.
Yes, exactly.
That's basically what it's saying.
Absolutely.
You're doing yourself an injustice.
Yeah.
Not only to your injustice to yourself, it says to God and humanity. And humanity. For you can render to God and humanity no greater service than to make the most of yourself. Self-improvement.
Yes. But read that last part again about the God part, because they need to get that.
Yes. If you neglect this study, this book,
yes,
this key, this knowledge, this nugget, if you neglect this, he's giving you everything that God bestowed in him to pass on to you.
Oh, wow.
So if you neglect this study, you are derelict in your duties to yourself. You're doing yourself an injustice. You just, as I say, cut yourself off at the foot.
Yes.
You are limiting yourself. You're hindering yourself. You're not allowing yourself to grow. You just said, you know what, I'm not gonna, there are so many riches out there, but I don't want it. Ooh. That's exactly what you're saying. I see it right in front of me and I'm able to go and get it, but unfortunately, I'm in this field where, not being lazy, but I don't have the drive to go and do something. Well,
that's lazy. Let's call a thing with thing. Let's call a thing a thing. Because Sabriena, that's what it is. Because if what would God say? It says to God and to humanity.
Yes.
So God put certain gifts inside of you.
Yes.
As my father would say, if you got a gift and you're not using it,
he's gonna take it away.
He's gonna take it away. So let's call it a thing.
Okay.
It's being lazy, folks. Okay. All right. And having no drive and having no execution and having no desire because you're still in that victim role, or it's because Sabriena didn't show up, that's why I can't do it. It's because of what I experienced when I was 5.
Right. Or something way back yonder before you were even born.
Exactly.
Don't let that hinder you. Move on. Grow from it. We as individuals, we have to constantly look at ourselves as, I'm growing. You want to always grow. You can never not learn. And you're going to learn from others, even from little kids.
Yes.
Those are the best gifts. Those are the best because they're so innocent. They're so innocent. And God put them there for a reason. We can learn from each other. We can even learn from individuals that try to bring us down, because you're listening to what they're saying and you're using that as my growth. You hear so many different from television shows to different people speaking that, you know what, this person really made me feel bad. They bullied me. They did this. And because of, I didn't want to see myself in that particular, it motivated them.
It catapulted them to their greatest version. And again, the difference, just what Sabriena just talked about, she's talking about how people are catapulting regardless of their circumstances, or as Wallace D. Wattles would say, or the appearance of things. And that's in later chapters. So Sabriena, I've been writing notes because I love what Sabriena just shared. She says, doing yourself an injustice when it says, if you neglect this study, you are derelict in your duty to yourself, to God, and humanity. For you can render to God and humanity no greater service than to make the most of yourself.
You're going to feel good when you do everything you can to improve yourself as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I love how you said that. We're going to go on to chapter 2, and we're going to speak about there is a science of getting rich. Now, at the top of the show, Sabriena, I shared a little teaser and said, what if there is an exact science to getting rich? What if?
And it is.
And it is.
It is.
But the question is, what would you do with it? Would you execute?
Yes.
Would you apply the principles, the science to your life? Or would you say, I'm going to sit back and see what Anne and Sabriena does. Let me see the results for what they do first before I start allowing these words to permeate and penetrate in my soul. Okay. So I wanted to start off with that because that was the teaser. And I'm going to read the first chapter because, the first paragraph of chapter 2, because Wallace D. Wattles answers that question.
He sure does.
He says, there is a science of getting rich. And it is an exact science. Like algebra or arithmetic, there are certain laws which govern the process of acquiring riches. Once these laws are learned and obeyed by any man, he will get rich with mathematical certainty.
Well, I'll say it this way.
Go ahead. Go right ahead. Jump in, Sabriena.
Okay. It is absolutely right. No matter which way, what method.
Yes.
What formula, because that's the key. It's a formula.
It's a formula.
Everything, each way you try to do it, it's going to work that particular way. It's going to come back to the same point. It's an exact formula. It's an exact science. You know, it is a certain way. And when you do the thing the certain way, when you take hold of what he stated, what he's giving us, that's how you propel in life. That's how you get rich.
Yes. And let me say this. In this chapter here, folks, I mean, I don't know if you guys can see my little squiggies and my little green highlights, but I highlighted every place where it shows a certain way. And this is Sabriena, where Mr. Wallace D. Wattles really takes us on another dimension.
Yes.
He begins to talk about doing things in a certain way.
Right.
So what I like for you to do, Sabriena, is share some passages that permeated and penetrated through you, and then tell us why.
All right. Going to the second thing, again, he stressed on, actually on each paragraph, he's constantly saying the same thing.
Yes.
In order for you to become rich, you have to follow that formula, that exact science. So ownership of money and property comes from the result of doing things in a certain way. He says it over and over and over. Not by accident.
Yes.
Not by just chance. Doesn't matter how hard you work, he's saying, or the way you do things. It is actually the way you do things, but you have to do it in that way in order to gain richness. Richness in soul, richness in mind, richness in well-being, the richness of life. So that's what he's speaking of as well. Not just material. We want that, but also in everything in life.
Mind, body, and soul. It's the whole gamut.
Yes.
Because you can be rich in one area and poor in others. So if you do things per Wallace D. Wattles, if you begin to do things in a certain way, mind, body, and soul, then the results that you will receive will be out of this world.
Supernatural.
It will be supernatural. Okay, let me just share this. What did I write here?
Supernatural blessings.
Okay. Absolutely. So I just wanted to, you see how you and I are on the same accord?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So go ahead, Sabriena. Keep going.
All right.
Thank you.
You're absolutely welcome. You're welcome. Okay. Also, he says the natural law that like causes. Again, there's a cause and effect of everything you do. I'm always saying that. I say that to my kids all the time. There's a cause and an effect. If you do something, then something else is going to happen. Then you take it whether you learn from it or you don't learn from it. You know, you try to put back the excuses, and we don't want excuses. We don't look at excuses. So, so he's saying, hey, no matter what you do, by doing certain things in a certain way, you will automatically, infallible, get rich.
Yes.
Meaning you cannot do anything else but get rich. Get rich because you're doing things in a certain
way.
Yes.
And a certain way, let's dive deep with the certain way.
Okay.
A certain way, and I like how Sabriena put it, because it is about mind, body, and soul. That's what the certain, see, when people hear the certain way, I've had people to ask me, and what do you think he really means by a certain way? And if you see here, although I'm not going to share this right now, but I've come up with a formula. And based on all the things that Mr. Wallace D. Wattles has been speaking about. And when he's talking about that certain way, folks, I cannot state this any more clear, because Sabriena has already cleared it up. It's mind, body, and soul. You've got to make sure, and you've got to feel, and you've got to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are certain that these things will manifest for you.
Right.
You must be certain. You must be certain. Yes, you must do things in a certain way, but if you're doing things in a certain way, but you still have this disbelief, or you're not really fully believing in what you're doing, then you're just doing some type of routine.
Right.
It's just a routine. And it's very important that you get this. Doing things in a certain way encompasses 3 areas: mind, body, and soul. And while you are doing these things I love, Sabriena, I love how you caught on to that.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Go ahead. Finish sharing that, because that's important, because a lot of people will read this and say, okay, he's saying, and trust me, because I've had conversations with other people where they're saying, okay, and he's saying certain things in a certain way. Okay, well, yeah, he's doing this a certain way. Okay, yeah, you do this in a certain way. Okay, you do. But he's going deep with that certain way.
Yes, he is.
And it's the mind, the body, and soul. Okay, keep reading the passages that you like, and then sure.
Absolutely. Let's see. Then another passage, it says, getting rich is not a matter of your environment. He's saying, don't let where you live, where you come from, how you grew up, stop you from getting rich. The neighborhood that you were. Oh, I wish I did this. Or if I had this of these parents, I could have had this. Or if I only had this job, I could have done this. You can still do it. No matter what neighborhood, no matter where you are, no matter what background you come from, if you do it in that formula, if you do it in a certain way, your mind, body, and soul. So that means you have to feed your mind. Number one.
That mindset must change.
Right. You cannot limit yourself. You have to feed your mind. You have to advance yourself by reading. Being intellectual. You want to speak to someone that's very intellectual on your same level, because you don't want to be in a realm with individuals that's constantly down. They're down, that negative energy. You want to catapult yourself out of that level. It's transforming.
It's all transformation.
It's transformation. Everything we do, mind, you transform your mind. God said he placed the knowledge in us. He placed the knowledge of, you want something, you want to do better for yourself. So expand your mind. Keep growing. It make you feel good when you learn.
Absolutely.
The kids are like all excited, you know. You learn, like, because they look for it. Exactly. So it's the same way. When we learn something, we're excited. We want to show it. You know, we want to get the approval at different times.
And we want to share it.
And
we've got to share it. Something someone said to me, Sabriena, and I won't say this person's name, but I really love what this person said. This person said to me, they said, Ann, there was a time that when I would read books, And when I would read books, I would put instead of, like, for instance, and instead of showing the title, I would put the title down, hide the title.
Oh.
And because they at that, in that mindset, they were saying, well, I've got to read it and learn it first. So I don't want, and not that they weren't, because they were always a sharer, but they just thought that, hey, I need to read it first, and then let me get the information, let me master it, and then I'll share the information or share the book, that I did. But, one of the great things that I love when I was speaking to this individual, because I've been speaking to so many different people about this, when I was speaking to this individual, now they're like, Anne, I get it. I'm now telling everybody about this knowledge and about the importance of reading the science of getting rich. So that goes back to what you're saying. Getting rich is not a matter of environment, because your environment, a lot of times people want to be able to say, well, it's like you said, it's because of this or because of that or because of this parent, or they're looking for some type of excuse. But you know what? Mr. Wallace D. Wattles said it so eloquently. He says getting rich is not a matter of environment. And further read the entire paragraph there, because that's super important. He says,
but everywhere we see rich and poor living side by side in the same environment and often engage in the same vocation. When two men are in the same locality and in the same business, and one get rich while the other remains poor, it shows that getting rich is not primarily just a matter of the environment. They're in the same environment.
Yes.
One is rich, one is poor.
Yes.
So it has to be something. What is the one that's getting rich doing?
Yeah, doing things in a certain way.
He's doing certain things in a certain way. He also says some environments may be more favorable than others.
Yes.
We know that is true. Absolutely. But when two men are in the same business or in the same neighborhood and one get rich while the other fails, it just indicates that getting rich is a result of doing things in a certain way.
Absolutely.
It also further shows the ability to do things in this certain way is not due solely to the possessions of a talent. Because again, on that end, he says many people, hey, they have great talent. But they still remain poor.
Yeah, exactly.
They remain poor.
Absolutely.
While others may have little talent
and get rich,
and they prosper.
They get rich. So do you get what I'm saying? So this is Sabriena, you are so on it, because this is the reason why I love what Mr. Wallace did. There is no excuses. Stop with the excuses. Stop to hear these. I mean, people have become masterful in excuses. And instead of them mastering doing things in a certain way, because Mr. Wallace D. Wattles covered everything. It doesn't matter if you're in an environment. It doesn't matter if you have greater talent. Doesn't mean that you're going to get rich.
Right.
Because somebody with lesser talent. And we've seen this before.
In entertainment.
We see this in YouTube.
Yes.
With these YouTube videos where people, and I'm not necessarily saying you do something crazy, but but in this social media world where people somebody would say, oh, I can do that, and they have less talent than me, but they're the ones that's got all the buzz. They're on media, they're on talk shows, they're everywhere. So they have done certain things. I may not know what those certain things are, but they have done certain things. And the reality is that something he said, and could you repeat that when he says two men can be in the same?
Okay. When two men are in the same locality and the same business and one gets rich while the other remains poor, it just shows that getting rich is not primarily a matter of your environment. Because again, some environments may be favorable than others. But when the two men that are in that same business or in that same neighborhood and one gets rich where the other fails, it indicates that getting rich is the result of doing things in a certain way.
That is so profound. That is so profound.
To do it in a certain way. That's the only way you're going to gain. That's the only way you're going to further yourself.
Let me ask you this, Sabriena.
Yes.
Because I've been saying throughout my videos, people have been looking for answers.
Mm-hmm.
Some people believe that the answers are, I'm going to play that lotto ticket. And there's nothing wrong with that because I play lotto tickets too. I'm not saying anything. So lotto, if you're listening, Florida Lottery, I am not saying anything wrong with lottery at all. But what I am saying is we have that drive,
right,
to go out, get in our cars, start it up,
mm-hmm.
drive down the road,
yes,
and get those lotto tickets.
You
They're
just
doing
said it.
they're doing things in a certain way to get those lotto tickets, right?
Because they had to drive to get rich.
They had to drive to get rich. But why is it that when we speak to different entities, Sabriena, that, and I don't know if you've come across this, where people will say, I'm looking for answers. I know that there is something more. I know that there are certain things. I could feel something missing in my life. I can literally feel it. It's not that they have a bad life. It's not that they're having anything that's crazy going on. But why is it that within human nature that causes some folks to, when you say, hey, I'm reading this book called The Science of Getting Rich, you should, hey, why don't you take a look at it? Why don't you read it? In fact, why don't you just play the audio? What do you think that thing is that causes people to buckle, shut down when it comes down to reading, or at least now we're in social media. Now you can just go on the YouTube and just listen to it. What do you think that thing is that causes people to do that?
Doubt. They doubt in themselves, and they don't. Some individuals don't want others to, oh, you don't know anything. You're no better than me. And we are not saying we're better than another individual, but we do have the mindset of we want something. We're not gonna just lay down and not do anything. We're ambitious. So we're looking. God, again, He put in us the thirst for knowledge. When you have the thirst for knowledge, you want better. When you love someone, you want to do better. You want to do better for them. You want to do better for yourself, for your family. You want to pave that way, especially when we have kids.
Yes,
and
absolutely,
we're married.
Absolutely.
You always, well, I want better for my kids. I want them to have more. So what do you do about it? You go out there and you grab it. You get a hold of it. You don't let it stop you. You got to practice something that you don't know. How are you going to learn?
Yes.
If you don't participate in it, if you don't indulge in it, divest yourself in it to grow. In order to get better, you have to do your diligence.
Yes.
And read. You have to do these things to, help yourself grow.
So, Sabriena, the reason I wanted to ask that, because I found that even with reading this book and the way that Mr. Wallace D. Wattles, again, Mr. Wallace D. Wattles, The Science of Getting Rich, he wrote this book in 1910. And these words, these ideas still permeate and penetrate in 2019, and it will continue on to centuries to come. But for him to be so wise to state these things that he saw in 1910, so that tells us a lot about human behavior.
Exactly.
That says a lot about human behavior, because we still have these human behaviors now. I won't say all of us. I would just say those people who are really not really ready to be truly transformed. So in saying that, let me share this.
Okay.
I found something in chapter 2 that was just amazing. And he says, some degree of ability to think and understand is, of course, essential.
I highlighted that as well.
Do you see? Take it on, finish it up.
Okay. But in so far natural ability is concerned, any man or woman who has the sense enough to read and to understand these words can certainly get rich.
Wow.
That's profound. He's just saying,
wow.
I'm laying it out. Just read it. You just have to apply. And that's really the key.
That's the key.
Apply yourself to knowledge.
Yes.
Knowledge is there for us to learn, but if you don't apply yourself, how can you gain?
How can
you get rich?
Well, even as you know with the Bible, the Bible says, study to show thyself approved. So you cannot even, I mean, come on, you know, this is why, you see, I've got this here, and Sabrina's looking at my notes. I'm not, listen, I'd like to show it. Let me just show this, because I want you to see my little squiggies right there in the orange, where it says some degree of ability to think and understand. I want you guys to get this, because he says any man or woman who has sense enough. Doesn't that sound like a parent? Don't you have any sense? You know how parents will say that?
Yes.
Right, exactly. Common sense. Who has sense enough to read and understand these words can certainly get rich.
Yeah.
I love what you said. He's basically saying, come. Wallace D. Waddles is basically in 1910 was saying, come on, guys. What are you guys doing?
Yes.
What are you guys around here complaining for? I've written a book and you're still not willing to read it. I have gotten this down. I've got this philosophy down to an exact science, and you're still wanting to do the complaining and the blaming and the huffing and the puffing and the, oh, woe is me. Yes. Enough already.
Yes.
Go ahead, Sabrina. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, you're good.
I get so
it does. It you gravitate towards it.
This man was phenomenal.
In my everyday, when I'm at work, I'm listening to it. I put on my gospel first, because you got to have that positive energy.
Yes, absolutely.
And then I start listening to the book,
Wallace D. Waddles,
over and over and over. And you said something a little earlier. I wanted to go back to that also.
Okay.
And what it was is, every time you read something, when you read a good book or you see a good movie, what happens? You find something else.
Yes.
That's the Bible in itself. When you read it, you can have read this over and over and over, but when you go back again, you'll find something else. There's another nugget that you can put in it to help yourself, to apply for yourself. So he's constantly saying that, apply yourself.
Apply.
Use your ability. Every individual, doesn't matter what background you're from. He stressed that over and over and over. Doesn't matter your talent. He stressed that over and over and over. Great talent, bad talent, pretty, non-pretty, socially smart. He said on there, blockhead. That
blockhead. You remember? You remember that?
Blockhead. Meaning he's saying there's so many individuals, because they do this formula in a certain way, they can do nothing else but get rich.
Absolutely.
So all he's saying is apply yourself.
Yes.
Apply yourself. Stop making excuses. That's, to me, that's what I took from chapter 2. Stop making excuses
and apply this knowledge.
Apply this knowledge to get you where you need to go. Transform. We're all about transforming. Transforming, going to another level. You know, expounding ourselves, being a better person, you know, opening our hearts up, being able to give back. You got to be able to give also. When you learn something, that's what God wants you to do.
You must.
You have to. That's the only way you can be a servant.
That's the only way
you're serving other individuals.
And that is the only way that you can continue to get rich.
That's right.
You cannot get rich like this, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right.
You cannot get rich like this. You know, oftentimes you have a lot of people that's like this, that's taking, okay?
Yes.
But the takers want to be like this. So you cannot get rich, ladies and gentlemen, like this, okay? You have to, again, I love how Sabriena said it. Give us that synopsis again. The first thing that you took from chapter 2 is to what?
One, to apply yourself.
Number 1. Everybody write this down. Number 1.
What is apply yourself.
I'm writing it. Yes.
Read. Stop making excuses.
Yes.
You want to master your craft.
Yes.
You master your craft by what? Applying yourself.
Yes.
And keep applying yourself and keep practicing.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to do better and better and better and better till you basically, it's like almost like air, just like we were saying, it's like air, like breathing it. It's your second Bible, because you're applying yourself to manifest yourself to that next round, that next level.
Okay, so Sabriena. So I've got the Sabriena isms. Okay. So this is for Sabriena. Sabriena says, number 1, apply yourself. Number 2, read this daily. As Mr. Wallace D. Waddle says, make this book your companion. Number 3, stop making excuses. Stop being the victim. Stop saying, oh, woe is me. And number 4, master your craft. In other words, master your craft in mind, body, and soul.
Yes.
By doing things in a certain way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you see how you tie all of that together? Sabriena put it all together in a beautiful gift, a beautiful package. This is what she got from chapter 2. Let's review that again. Chapter 2 from Sabriena. Sabriena says, number 1,
apply yourself. Number 2, read or even listen to.
Yes, because you got the audio now.
You have the audio now. Also, you can, learn from other individuals. So all that's coming with reading. Yes. Because you're communicating.
And this I'm learning from Sabriena right now.
Conversing.
Yes, we're having this conversation and transformation.
Absolutely.
And read this daily or listen to it daily. And the words of Mr. Wallace D. Waddles, he says, make this your companion until you get rich.
Affirmations.
Yes.
Let me just go back a little.
Okay, absolutely.
When we do affirmations.
Yes, yes.
When you're doing affirmations, you're constantly, I am this, I am that,
yes.
I am. You're saying it over and over and over, because what you speak, it shall be.
And you know what? Let me say this. Sabriena said something about affirmations. And Ron and we will be discussing chapter 3 and 4. But something that Mr. Wallace D. Waddles, and I'll just share this little tidbit, at least in my copy. I don't know about the copy that I've given to you guys in the group, but at least with the copy that I have, as you see how the pages are, because I had this copy for a while. Mr. Wallace D. Waddles has certain things that he put in bold. Mm-hmm. And I feel that was the affirmation that he wanted us to speak. Right. So in further chapters, Mr. Wallace D. Waddles, you see how you have this stuff in bold?
Yes.
These are things, and a couple of times I even wrote down the fact that these things need to be said daily. But Ron and I will discuss that, because Sabriena is absolutely correct. I would like to say that in further chapters where at least in my copy, and let me just show you one of the things I'm speaking about. In chapter 3, and you're going to see this in bold, where it says, everything you see on earth is made from, you see that right there? Okay, I consider that to be what Sabriena just talked about, affirmations, Mr. Wallace D. Waddles. I'm calling it affirmations because it's in bold, and it's something that I make sure I say on a daily basis. So Sabriena is definitely giving you guys not only tips for chapter 1 and 2, but telling you different things throughout that you can use, and as a guide, as a tool to guide you to becoming a better student. Right. See, the thing of it is that, wouldn't you agree, Sabriena, that oftentimes we have to then become the student?
Yes.
It is important.
Very.
I'm being a student right now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to let Sabriena get back to the number 1, 2, 3, 4. But I'm sharing this with you. Yes, there's a lot of things that I do in the community. Yes, I'm a transformational life coach. None of that matters. Let me tell you what I've been doing. I personally have been keeping myself in God's bosom, in Abba's bosom. And the reason why is because I know that there is something else that I must have in order for me to really be able to serve others, to be able to really be my full self, be the highest version of myself.
Yes.
And in order for me to be able to do those things, Sabriena, not only do I have to better myself, but I also want to enrich the community,
Yeah.
my friends, colleagues, constituents,
Yeah.
the little boy or the little girl down the street. If I'm empowered, then other people around me, as Sabriena says, who have the desire to be of like minds, will too gravitate towards this information. I'm not here to browbeat you to read The Science of Getting Rich, and nor is Sabriena, and I am certain Mr. Wallace D. Waddles did neither. He gave, just like even the Bible, it's a choice. If you choose to read this, if you choose to explore this, if you choose to dive deep, if you choose to do things in a certain way, then we can all smile at the certain way on the top of the mountain of the certain way and be able to smile and rejoice and be happy, because we know if I see you at that top of the mountain, I know that you've done things in a certain way. You know I've done things in a certain way, because the only way I'm going to get to that mountain and be able to climb that mountain is because I've got to do things in a certain way. So I just kind of wanted to just let you guys know this, because this here just permeate and penetrated with me based on what Sabriena gave. So I'm going to have Sabriena to share again her top 4 things that she gathered from chapter 2, well, from all the chapters, because you can use this as a guiding principle. Wouldn't you say that, Sabriena?
Yes, absolutely.
So Sabriena, please tell us about what you discovered while reading this.
I discovered that, one, again, when you apply yourself, that's the only way that you can learn. That's the only way you can grow. That's the only way that you can achieve what you want. When you have that thirst for knowledge and you're reading, you are taking yourself to that next round.
Absolutely.
So you have to read, you have to listen, you have to converse with other individuals, because that's the only way you grow.
And let me just put this in there. As Wallace D. Waddles says, make this your daily companion.
Right.
And so that's why the reading, as Sabriena said, that's why the reading or the audio is super imperative.
And speaking.
And sharing other people.
When you're sharing with, you're getting, we're going back and forth. We're getting knowledge, things bouncing off you, things bouncing off of me.
Absolutely.
We're learning from each other. We have a different concept. We have the same mind, like-minded. Because we are like-minded. But we hear other things. Oh, you know what? She said this. Okay. I took it on this end as well, or he said that. Just like with Ron when he said about being a man.
I know.
That was great.
Thank you, Ron.
Just like when I was saying, hey, you know what, my husband is built with that same character. That is his character, to take care of his family.
He was built
that way because it was instilled in him from his father. And from his father's father, and from his father's father. It was the background. You know where they got it from? The Bible.
Yes, and it comes from the Bible.
It came from
because
the Bible.
That's what a man's job is to provide, to protect, and to profess his love for his wife. And that's a whole nother subject. but that is absolutely right. A man feels very good when he's able to provide.
He does feel good. And it makes him feel as a man.
Yes, absolutely.
Not less of a man. So when our men and women, because there are some women that they don't have a husband, but when they provide for their family, it makes you feel good.
Yes.
You are the lender. You're not the borrower.
Oh, goodness. Hallelujah.
You always want more, and you always want to be able to have yourself at a certain standard.
Absolutely.
Okay. The next thing was
number 3.
Stop making excuses.
Yes. Not the woe is me.
No.
I'm the victim. Enough already.
Learn from it. Stay positive.
Yes.
Speak it. Decree it. keep you know, it's going to manifest because you're saying it, but you got to put it into practice. That's the key thing. You know, going back to number one, applying yourself. You can speak it all you want, but if you don't do anything to help yourself, you're not going to get it.
That's right.
So as we say, we're going to speak it. We're decreeing it. This is going to happen.
Absolutely.
So you're using your affirmation. I decree that this, I will be rich. I will be that millionaire. I am a millionaire. Not I will. I am a millionaire because you decreed it. Now.
And you're going to do, okay, keep going.
Yes, and you're doing something, you're putting it into existence. You're not making excuses. You're not letting something hold you back or being fearful. You're doing everything that you can to do more. Over and over and over.
So, and then number 4 is
master your craft.
Mastering your craft. Sabriena said this so eloquently. Mastering your craft. And what she means by that, per Wallace D. Wattles, mind, body, and soul. By doing things in a certain way. And that's the key, folks. If you don't do things in a certain way, 1, 2, and 3 erases because you're not doing number 4. You haven't mastered number 4. So you've got to do this. And this is why I'm so excited that Sabriena has been here with me today. And
thank you for inviting me.
This has been so awesome. So now, listen, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to wrap up. I'd like to share or ask Sabriena a couple of other questions. Something to give people a way to learn a little bit more about you, because we've been talking about Wallace D. Wattles, and of course, this is what this video is all about, Wallace D. Wattles and the science of getting rich. But there's a reason why Sabriena is here, because Sabriena is of a like-minded. She is excited. She is wanting more knowledge so she can be able to provide more for herself, her family, and her community. If you had 3 words to describe Sabriena to our audience, what would they be and why?
3 words?
3 words.
Lover of life.
Or
lover of Christ. That's the 3 right there. Lover of Christ.
Okay, and so why is that? Why is that so important?
Because I want to be like-minded with him. I love the Lord, and he instilled in me to be able to give to others. So when I'm like-minded with Christ, I am going to share my knowledge, what he's given me to give to others, to uplift them, to implement them, to bring them from being, you know, the woe is me, to do all that I can. So
very good. Lover of Christ. She's got it, ladies and gentlemen. And I have another question for you, Sabriena. I would like for you, well, more of a statement. I would like for you to be able to share with our listeners how they can get in contact with you. Well, first, before she does that, I'd like to be able to edify her a little bit more. Sabriena also, because she's so humble, she doesn't say much, but I want to make sure that I put this out. I have another group that's called War Room Building with Anne. And in that group, Sabriena has a daily bread, Sabrina's daily bread, that she provides on a daily basis, Monday through Friday, that she posts in the group. So this is something else that Sabriena does. And the reason I wanted to state that is because she believes in giving encouraging words to those people, because you just never know where people are feeling, what they're feeling, what they've gone through, what they may be going through. And so Sabriena really wraps her arms around people, whether she knows them or not. So you can find Sabriena there as well at War Room Building with Anne. And Sabriena has other pages that you can be able to follow her, but I'll let her share that as well. And just share with the people why Sabrina's Daily Bread is so important, that you get out these prayers and this beautiful messages.
One, because not everybody we find read the Bible. So I put scriptures in there from the Bible so that they will be able to read it. I do it also to encourage them, to let them know always in the daily word is God loves you. He loves you and your family. You're not alone. You know, you're just bringing that little extra joy to that individual. As you just stated, we don't know where our individual is mentally, where their self-esteem are, where they are socially, whatever it may be. But a simple word of encouragement, of being kind, encouraging them helps. So that's my purpose in life, to give to others, to give the word of the Lord, because I love the Lord. So I want to be able to give back to my community. I do it in my professional life, but I also do it in just socially,
and her business life too, because she's an entrepreneur as well. So Sabriena, tell us more about Heals from Within.
Okay.
I mean, this is the play of words. So her last name is Hill, Hill, and then she heals, Heals, from within. So tell us about that.
That's about being positive.
Yes.
Uplifting.
Yes.
Giving them the word of the Lord, and also just giving them a big hug, sharing that, hey, you know what? You're loved. You're not left behind. God loves you. He wants you to have eternal life. So that's what Heals from Within. Spiritually, your mindset, nutritional wise, all of us were on the different levels. Fasting, definitely, that's a daily thing, constantly with me, fast every day. Reading the scriptures, getting in the Bible and actually reading. That's something that you really should do, because when you are alone, when you feel you don't have anyone, you may feel you're alone, but you're not.
You're not.
God wants us to depend on him.
Yes.
He wants us to depend on him.
But what was that thing, Sabriena? Because Sabriena, like I said, Sabriena and I, we've known each other for many years, since we've been little girls, okay, and grown now into women. Sabriena has always, let me just tell you guys about Sabriena. Sabriena has always had this thing, though, because I remember from when we were kids, Sabriena was always able, I couldn't articulate it then, but now with me looking back, she always had this ability of being able to wrap your arms around people. And I don't know if you knew what you were doing, but Sabriena, you've always had this ability from when we were kids. I mean, she would see the best in some folks, even though I had my opinions about them. We won't go there, but she saw the best in folks regardless. And so where do you think that thing comes from? Because see, your heals from within, but you've been healing people for when we were kids. You were doing that even with people when they weren't too sure about themselves. I want the audience to know, so then they can pull back the layers of knowing more about you, because this is not something, ladies and gentlemen, that just started and she started a business, Heals from Within. No, this has been a life's journey for her.
Well, it starts from the Lord, loving the Lord. That's to me, that's my catalyst. That's where everything started from.
But was it an accident? Was it something that happened? Okay, so let me just share this. It had to be something, because see, I that's why I wanted to dive deep, because yes, we all went to church. I went to church. You know that. Sabriena, the only thing I could do is be in the house. Sabriena had to come to my house because I had to be in the house. Okay, so when people say, "Oh, AnneHumphrey, you were sheltered," yeah, I was. But then you know what? Thank God I was sheltered, because I wasn't out there.
That's right.
You know, we were sheltered. But my mom knew it was okay for Sabriena to come to my house, and we had another friend, and we go to her house because our parents approved it. But what was that thing? We already know the church, but what was that thing? Because certain things happened with me that caused me to really wrap my arms around people, and it's because I was bullied. It was because I was told that, oh, you think you're this, you think you're that. So, and in my life journey, I grew up, I became an advocate, I've been so an activist. But what was that thing? What was that thing besides the church that caused you to say, wow, you made up in your mind as little Sabriena, even though you couldn't articulate it, But you can look back and because you made up your mind as little Sabriena, and now mature Sabriena looks at little Sabriena and say, I see where that came from.
I guess you never want to have anyone to feel. The only thing I can think of is I would never want to have someone to feel bad because it doesn't feel good.
But why? Why do you?
Passion.
No. But did you have an experience? Did you have any? Okay, so let me share this, ladies and gentlemen. The reason why I am the way that I am and a true activist for people's rights is because I had an experience.
Right.
I felt certain ways. Even like Wallace D. Waddles says, if you're in a business, get out of it at once. If it's cheating people, if it's doing something wrong.
Yeah,
so I've experienced that. And because I experienced that, I made a vow, even though I didn't know what I was doing, but I had made a vow then that I'm going to make sure that this doesn't happen to anyone else, not if I'm breathing. So of course, I went to church, I went home, I went to school, but there was more to that because church is just a building. Right. It has to be those principles. And there were certain things that I learned from my parents as well that caused me to say, hey, Ann, you can respond better to this. And that little Ann grew up into this mature Ann that now that's the reason why you see the things that I'm doing. So what was that thing? What was that defining moment?
Well, because I didn't know until as I got a little older. One of the defining moment was this little girl. Yeah. That was a major cattle point in my life where this little girl was being abused. She was being sexually abused, and she felt in her heart to give me that knowledge. And I had it was, what do you do? Do you allow her? And she was a foster child. Do you allow her to go back to that home and be abused? Or do you take it, wrap her in your arms, and try to protect her? So that was really the pinpoint where I guess you gotta help, you gotta constantly do something. I was a little older. I've always had the compassion. I didn't want to see anybody get hurt or their feelings. I didn't want anyone to feel that you're not better than, because it doesn't feel, we've all felt that way, where somebody picked on us or bullied us. I was a nerd. And I'm proud of being a nerd. I stayed in the house. So absolutely, I'm definitely proud of. Absolutely, I was a bookworm. I would, constantly be in my books, reading. But I think that was really the catalyst of everything when I experienced this little girl from my daughter. It was my daughter's friend, and she was a young lady. She had to be no more than 7 or 8, and she just let me know that her her adoptive father, and she was the foster child, was sexually abusing her.
Now, and that is deep. And you know why?
That was very deep.
And let me say this. And the reason why I wanted people to know more about why you are the way that you are, because then they can put things in perspective. Sabriena said, and let me just do a quick recap. Sabriena said something very profound. And again, it goes along with the science of getting rich. See, if we're not loving to our neighbors, if we're not loving to ourselves, and if we're not loving to our neighbors, mind, body, and soul for ourselves, and wanting the mind, body, and soul for someone else, because that's why we share this information. That's the reason why we're talking about The Science of Getting Rich by Mr. Wallace D. Waddles. That's the reason why Sabriena is here today, having these conversations and transformation with me and sharing her beautiful perspective as to what she's read in chapters 1 and chapters 2. But the reason why I wanted to dive a little deep, so then you can understand that, hey, I don't know who could be watching this video. I want someone to know that, hey, if Sabriena was able to help this young lady out, now this young lady is thriving, because I remember you told me about that story. Sabriena, but it's only because Sabriena did things in a certain way. Everything goes back to what we're learning in The Science of Getting Rich, because Sabriena could have muted, instead said nothing.
Right.
But because she has a compassionate heart, and certain things you can't teach people. You got to either have it or don't.
Right.
Okay. And there is a science to compassion. That may be your next book, The Science of Compassion. But there is a science to that. And so, again, it all ties into the science of getting rich, because now this young lady who Sabriena helped, now she can live. She is now given an opportunity to live and have a rich, full life.
Yes.
A rich, full life. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you. I want to thank you, Sabriena. I want to thank Sabriena, my guest, for coming and opening up and sharing and giving us some tools, giving us step by step. I hope you had your pen and your papers ready. And if not, you need to hit rewind, because it is going to be in the group page. But I want you to listen to this, because Sabriena shared some fantastic information. She gave you a different perspective, but more importantly, she also shared her truest self. And I thank you for doing that.
You're welcome.
And the reason why I wanted you to do that, so then people will know that you're just not reading words. These words are penetrating through you and permeating through us all, if we give it the opportunity. So Sabriena, please tell them how they can reach you.
Okay, you can go on Facebook at Heal Heals From Within.
Yes, that's your community page.
That's my community page.
Her community page. Again, it's Hill, Hill, and then Heals, HEALS, From Within. So Heal, Heals From Within. You can follow her there. And also I'll make sure that you put your in the chat. Okay. Once we get off, you'll put it in the chat as well.
Okay.
Absolutely. Okay. And where else can they find you? Is there any other place you would like for them to connect with you?
Just there. They can,
okay.
I'm a little private,
so that's perfect. So you can reach and connect with her there. Anyone who's in the group and the Science of Getting Rich Mindset and Mastermind group, you can also find Sabriena there. She is a proud member of the Science of Getting Rich group, so you can reach her there. I want to just thank all the Facebookers, everyone who took the time out of your busy schedule to take a look at this video, to learn with us, to grow with us, to discover with us, to pull back the layers with us. This has been a beautiful moment, sitting here in the privacy of our home, enjoying this conversation and transformation with you. I hope that this conversation will permeate and penetrate through your soul. Wouldn't you say that, Sabriena?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I want it
the knowledge for them.
For the knowledge, right? Is there any lasting words that you would like to say before I close out, Sabriena? Anything that's on your mind, that Wallace D. Waddles, anything that.
Okay, well, one, thank you for having me.
Yes, you're very welcome.
It. And just if nothing else touched you as an individual, remember, don't use excuses. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to God. You owe it to humanity.
Oh,
do yourself justice and learn. Grab knowledge. Keep elevating yourself so that you can become rich in your mind, your body, and soul. That's it.
Oh my God. Hallelujah. That was awesome. So without further ado, I thank you guys for tuning in. For all the Facebookers, please like this and share this video. For all my YouTubers, please hit subscribe below. Hit the little bell so then you'll know when I will post another video, and share your comments below. And for all my Instagrammers, IGTV, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please do share your comments below. Thank you again, and enjoy the rest of your day. We stay tuned, as next week, Friday, I will be sitting with Mr. Ron Caronian himself. Karan, I say Karan, but I will be sitting with Ron himself on next week, Friday. Stay tuned for the time, but you're going You're not going to want to miss this conversation at all.
Rich.
It's going to enrich their lives. Again, this is AnneHumphrey and
Sabriena Hill Felix.
Thank you, and we are signing out. Enjoy the rest of your day and continue to read The Science of Getting Rich by Mr. Wallace D. Wattles. Have a good one now. Thank you. Bye-bye. Wow.
That was good.
Wasn't it fun?
It was.